Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Village of Bartlett for the Committee of the Whole meeting for January 18, 2022. I call this meeting to order and again ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Daney? Here. Yanzi? Here. Gunstein? Here. Hopkins? Here. REINKE?
Present.
Zawanski? Here. President Wallace?
Present. We have two items on our agenda this evening. First is Building and Zoning, Chairman Hopkins.
Thank you, President Wallace. We have one item on our agenda, and that's the amending Municipal Code Title 10, Zoning Ordinance, Chapter 13, Administration and Enforcement. As discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting on January 4th, 2022, attached to the proposed text amendment to the Municipal Code Title 10, Zoning Ordinance, that repeals the existing Chapter 13, Administration and Enforcement in its entirety, and has a new Chapter 13 as drafted. This new chapter creates the Planning and Zoning Commission and outlines all of its duties and powers while abolishing the existing Plan Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals. With that, does anyone have any questions?
I don't have any more.
Are there any outstanding changes that you think to bring our attention to?
If I could give credit to our village attorney, I thought he did a great job in incorporating a chart in this chapter that was for types of required notice, and it's very transparent for any zoning applicant. It tells you exactly what type of publication will be required, whether a sign has to be on your property, mailings that are required, and I thought that was a great improvement. So thank you, Brian.
Yay.
The question I have is, any different, pick the chairman of this board versus what we had before? That was appointed by the mayor?
There's a plan commission, the CBA.
Guys, nobody can hear you. Nobody can hear you. It's almost like you're whispering.
All right. We'll start over. Let's go back to 7:15. Right. What I was saying back in '83, when I was appointed chairman, the actual members, they nominated someone and they nominated me and they took a vote. But then it went to the mayor.
Okay.
Had to get approval from the mayor. But at that time, and what we're moving into now, that's all changed. So it's still the appointment of the mayor.
Well, but to clarify, and I reviewed this, it doesn't seem like we're making any substantive changes to the zoning ordinance other than consolidating the Plan Commission and the ZBA. So there's no substantive differences.
It was outdated, so there wasn't a fundamental change. There were substantive changes to improve it. So, for instance, we didn't really distinguish between a text amendment and a rezoning, and that needed clarification.
Right.
In that sense, the technical,
It was updating language, mostly updating language to our current practices, yes.
Right.
Yes,
Can you help?
It was, some of it was archaic.
exactly.
So what would be the difference between text amendments and rezones?
I don't think he heard you.
Brian, do you want to outline the difference between a text amendment and rezoning?
Okay. So a text amendment is a change village-wide to your zoning ordinance. Let's say making a specific use in a certain district, permitted use. And that's going to apply to every property in that district. Whereas a rezoning is rezoning the district or the classification for a particular piece of property. So I'm currently residential and I want to go change it to commercial. That's usually more with annexation, but whatever it is, I'm asking to change the zoning on a specific piece of property. And we didn't really have a good distinction between the two. And if you think about the notice provisions, you can't mail notice to everyone in the village on a change that affects a change to your zoning ordinance and your definitions and what are permitted uses in a specific zone. But a rezoning is going to affect the neighbors. That there you mail notices to the neighbors within 250 feet. So, you know, the distinction is important, and the lines were blurred in
And a text
old
amendment.
language that was typical of older zoning ordinances. And so that's just one example of some of the things we cleaned up and clarified.
So a text amendment then requires public hearings or
They
public,
both do.
Still publish in the
Both do?
newspaper.
The rezoning would require notification to the surrounding property owners, and the text amendment would not, and that is in our new chart.
I'm sorry, that's what?
And that's in our new chart,
Okay.
the chapter. One small housekeeping issue, Trustee Reinke, is that we included, and needed to be included, the major design exceptions, which were outlined in our downtown form-based code, which were not included and needed to be included in this chapter.
Very good, thank you.
No, I just was going to clarify, I was 3 years old when I was appointed.
Within this new board, if it does not come back before our committee or before our board with a positive recommendation, does it have to pass with just a simple majority or a 2/3 majority?
On this new amendment, technically a text amendment. So,
Going to the Zoning Board of Appeals,
yeah, and it,
they have to have 4 votes.
yeah. Well, but I have a little chart that I have for that answer. It is a text amendment. So that doesn't really change your vote, let's see. It doesn't change, so it's 4 votes, majority of the corporate authorities. Okay, it's not different voting requirements for a variation. If you had a negative recommendation and different voting requirement for a special use if it didn't receive a positive recommendation. So, but this particular ordinance still requires 4 votes because it's a text amendment.
Anything else? That's it. We'll send this to the zoning board of appeals, for further review and to conduct a public hearing. That's all we have in our building and zoning tonight.
Thank you, Chairman Hopkins. Next item we have this evening is Public Works, Chairman Reinke.
Thank you, Mr. President. So tonight on Public Works, we have 2 projects downtown at Bartlett Station and Moore Brewing that are disturbing the sidewalks in downtown. So the staff is seeking direction from us, given that these sidewalks are going to be replaced. Do we want to go with a different design? Do we want to do a brick with concrete ribbons or concrete with brick ribbons? And so my question to you is, which one's cheaper?
I have a question.
Not the clay.
They tied a ribbon in a bow?
Do we have any other options we could look at, or is it just?
There are other options. I will say, looking at downtowns, I kind of go through and look at that. The concrete with the brick ribbon is more common. I think mainly because brick tends to be the part that, I mean, you got a bunch of little pieces that are coming together. They get out of whack, they require maintenance, to keep that smooth. So, if you minimize the amount of brick, but you still have the enhancement of the brick, that's kind of the brick ribbon idea, where you have more concrete, but you have it accented with brick. The current design has been working since the early 90s. It's gonna need a refresh. I think we did a refresh in probably early 2000, so we're we're in the need of starting to do it. And when More Brewing came in, we're doing the review, they're gonna get into a lot of it, so it's like, do we wanna put that same thing in, or do we wanna look at something different? That's why we thought it might be good to just throw it out there, see what you guys think. The clay versus the concrete, one thing you'll notice when you go into the downtowns, they have transitioned over to the clay more often. The concrete blocks, if you go out and see what we got now, it fades, and the salt from the roads really eats into it. The clay has found to keep its color better, longer, and doesn't get attacked by the salt as much, so they seem to be lasting longer. So I would recommend going with clay, whichever option you go with, because it'll keep that color better. But we wanted to throw out and see, I mean, if there are other designs, but kind of give you an idea of what is out there and what we can do.
So the current concrete we have has lasted 40 years?
Early 90s, but then it got rehabbed in the early 2000s, so.
So what does that entail?
I'd say probably 15 years. I mean, we're overdue probably.
So what is entailed by rehabbing concrete? What's the?
Concrete?
Mm-hmm.
Concrete will last longer than, the bricks, you're mainly, like the concrete bricks, they start to disintegrate with the salt, and the color fades. So if you want to keep that look where the concrete starts to fade in and look like concrete, it loses the color. So you need to start replacing it in order to keep that enhancement there. But
so it seems to me that this is really just an aesthetic question.
Definitely
it
is
seems like switching to a clay brick makes the most sense because it's more durable. And then, me personally, all other things being equal, I prefer the brick ribbons like you show in your photo of downtown Geneva. It makes more sense, and it seems like the the brick paver areas in downtown Bartlett over the years have settled, and they are a trip hazard. I think there's some areas, and, having recently had a little one walking around, they trip. So I think if we minimize that, those are my thoughts, and the staff is very interested in the rest of you sounding off on what design you like better.
I also like the sidewalk, regular
brick
sidewalk
ribbon.
And brick ribbon, because
I like that too,
the stroller on it now is terrible.
Could we get that's a great idea. Could we get some comparisons, maybe not tonight, but some ideas of what the cost between the brick ribbon and the concrete
ribbon?
Oh, sure.
Paver.
A breakdown of what, I could do like a block, here's what this would cost versus, I could put something together on that.
If you're going to give us a cost on that, as Trustee REINKE had asked, I think what you also have to include in those costs is the durability and the maintenance on that. So if, one has to be replaced or the maintenance on that is only for X amount of years and the cost is less, but we're spending more on the other option, but if it lasts longer, I think that's something that we have to include, the durability and the life of the two.
Sure.
So are we just talking about replacing the sidewalks in front of the two construction projects?
Right now, because those projects are coming forward and they'll be the first ones to tear up things and redo it, I think long-term, we need to look at a enhancement project to do the downtown. That's a future project. That's not in the capital right now, but that's something that we ultimately would need to do.
So right now, removing the pavers out of the center portions of those sidewalks is how you're refreshing them, correct? And lifting them and re-leveling them? Have you guys looked at stamped concrete in lieu of the brick? It has a 30-year lifespan, same as concrete, and can be stained to match, where you can replace these sections and maybe section by section, stamped concrete in there so it all matches over time.
Yeah, we've got the stamped concrete out front. The concern I have with it, it's working, but again, it's concrete, you're gonna hit it with salt. If you have, concrete cracks, so trying to match it back is the hard part. If we have a water main break and we have to tear that up, trying to get it back blended, that's my fear, is then you start having these, it's very difficult to match back in, but I suppose you're gonna have that with anything, because the longer the bricks are out there, they fade and you put new bricks, so I mean, yeah, we can look at that as well, I mean.
I just look at the long-term investment, concrete lasting significantly longer than a clay or a brick itself. Whether it be stamped and colored, or, with some sort of a mix that's got, the color rendering that we're looking to match. So, just an idea.
Yeah, I could look and see if I can get prices on that versus the clay and the brick ribbon versus the current design, and see if we can put some numbers together on that.
Would that number include then, like, doing the whole downtown area? Like, just so we would know?
Well, we could do it by block. It'd be a rough number, but once we put a block together, then it's just per foot, so just run it based on how many feet of sidewalk we have out there. So we can give a ballpark of what that would be, yeah.
Dan, are we doing all this in-house, the work?
When we do a repair for a spot, yes, we do that in-house. Stamped concrete, we probably would not do that in-house. But a big project, that would be something that we would hire out, because that's bigger than what we could take.
I think it would look kind of odd having around the corner different than what this is right here.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask
for
about.
the short term anyway.
Right.
What's that?
If you had it all the way up to the corner with the pavers on the inside, or the brick and clay on the inside, and then you go around the corner, and in front of the other places, it's pavers on the outside, or the clay on the outside.
It's gonna be a transition, for sure.
Yeah.
And how that's gonna look, and whether it makes sense to do the entire block, yeah, that's the problem with having pieces done. At some point, you're gonna have to say, okay, let's get the whole thing done.
Well, but it seemed like having those areas, the large areas with the brick, it was a maintenance problem. I mean, all over the place it's a maintenance problem.
It's a maintenance problem, yeah.
And it's only a matter of time until somebody really gets hurt.
There's going to be a maintenance problem with the clay.
Adding brick into any streetscape adds maintenance. Concrete is maintenance, it all is maintenance, but I mean.
Cobblestone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you have some questions from us, and you have some information you can gather, and then come back to us with that, and we'll make our final decision.
Yeah.
Because the brick is just there for decorative, right? Just to make it look.
Right, it makes it enhances the street.
And I suppose if we want to see what this looks like in real time, we can just drive to Geneva.
There's towns all over. St. Charles has it, Algonquin just did it downtown. I mean, there's a bunch of downtowns if you want to go take a look at the different, newer they're new, so it looks good right now. Once it gets dated, it'll, but.
How much is in the budget right now to do these areas that you anticipate on?
Well, right now, we'd be talking to more, like, for instance, more brewing. They're going to be disturbing it, so we'd be asking them to put it in. It was just a matter of, okay, what are we going to have them put in? So.
And with the same for, no, not Bartlett Station then, right? Just more?
Right now, Bartlett Station just has concrete. The question there is, do we want to extend the streetscape down there? That was one of the things there. It's straight concrete right now. And we could just keep it straight concrete. It saves the maintenance of bricks and all that stuff, so.
I don't personally see the need to extend it out to Bartlett Station. It's another layer of cost. Let's go with low maintenance, durability.
Yeah, right now it's
I don't
kind of
think somebody's
focused
gonna decide
down.
whether or not to go there based on what the sidewalk looks like. That's me.
I'd like to see them plowed more often.
I want to have enough money left over to fix the
beautiful
water
sidewalk.
lines.
That's right, that's right.
You can put it on this sign, come visit historic Bartlett.
All right, well, I think is that it for from the committee then?
Yeah.
To adjourn.
Second.
Move for adjournment by, trustee Reinke, seconded by trustee Slonski. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
Gunstein? Hopkins? Reinke?
Yes.
Swansky?
Yes.
We are adjourned.